Good afternoon. We will begin today's public briefing for the Hurricane Laura response and recovery. I'm Brian Beam, Calcasieu Parish Administrator. Today is Monday, September 7th. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is Labor Day. For historical reference, when people watch this later, it's especially meaningful this year. There's so many people working so hard in public capacities, individual businesses to try to restore our area, and we've come a long way in just a little over a week. We've got some good updates today. You see a few new faces. I want to start off today, we're going to try at each briefing to do a safety reminder right out of the gate. And so I'm just going to read a few tips that are very important. We want to stress to everyone the importance of being safe during this recovery. We say this a lot, but especially when you're using a generator and chainsaws, because we're at that point where a lot of people now, of course, are clearing their yards and working at their houses, and it's unfortunately we've had some very serious incidents. We do have now on our police jury website, calcasieuParish.gov, tips on safety for using things like generators, chainsaws, heat-related illness. That's another one. My brother-in-law in the last 2 days had heat exhaustion, and he's okay, but that was very scary. We've also had one of my staff, one of their close relatives, fell from a ladder. These are common, but unfortunately, what I mean is these are common things that happen in these situations, but very preventable, so please be careful. Fallen trees, slowing down in traffic, all of those things. So please go to our website for that. It's all dedicated to Hurricane Laura response. I also want to mention, and this is our latest information, but we've had 10 deaths in Calcasieu Parish in the aftermath of the storm. Unfortunately, most of these are they're related to the storm, but not in the storm. 7 by carbon monoxide poisoning, one head injury, falling off a roof during a cleanup, and 1 drowning. And this was very interesting to me. The accidents range from people who were 24 years old to 81 years old. This isn't just one category. So the message is please be careful. The other thing we want to stress more, because we're seeing trends, more people, I think, I don't know if they're questioning the mandatory evacuation, but it seems that they are. And is it in place? Yes. Very importantly, yes. So why do we still have a mandatory evacuation in place? Well, one, we are still evacuating people, if you can believe that. People are finding it hard to live here, and they actually can be moved to another area to safety. But there's also several other reasons. I'll give 5, but there's actually more. The electric power is still out throughout pretty much the whole parish with a few exceptions. It's going to get better, but power is still out. Medical services are very restricted. And I'm sure some of the folks that come up here could give you some scary examples as to what they mean, but if you get hurt, don't assume you can get treated here. Boil advisories are still in effect for almost all the water systems, not all. Traffic is very dangerous. Picture, with maybe a few exceptions, no traffic lights in every intersection with thousands of people. It's very dangerous. And then one other one, the threat of fires is very real. And the ability to respond by our fire departments and districts is limited. And so if people are wondering why, that's why. And it's very important to follow that. So with that said, I would like to call up Dick Grimion, who will cover some of the citizen services and supplies and other matters.
Thanks, Brian. I wanted to mention a couple other safety issues. Brian covered most of this, but generators in particular, that figure of 7 people dying from carbon monoxide poisoning, as Brian said, is very sad, and it's very preventable. If you get a generator to power your house or your air conditioner or whatever, make sure that you get someone who knows what they're doing to hook that appliance up for you. They can be very dangerous if used improperly. One other thing, we covered this at the last briefing, make sure that you have good protective shoes on if you're outside. A lot of people don't think about this sometimes, but flip-flops are not appropriate for cleaning up a disaster area. Make sure that you have shoes with good soles, maybe resistant to nails and things like that. And of course, safety with chainsaws. And then the last thing is the people falling from roofs. We've had an increase on that lately also. Brian already talked about the mandatory evacuation and reasons for that. And we are still under a mandatory evacuation. And I want to list out the pod sites that we have currently operational. Lake Charles Civic Center at 900 Lakeshore Drive in Lake Charles. McMurray Park, 300 South Hazel Street in Sulphur. St. Theodore's Holy Family School at 785 Sam Houston Jones Parkway in Moss Bluff. The KC Hall at 503 US 90 in Iowa, Louisiana. The Railroad Museum in DeQuincy at 400 Lake Charles Avenue. Vinton Elementary School at 1610 Hampton Street. Westwood Elementary, 1900 Sampson Street in Westlake. 2802 Pineview Street in Lake Charles. And last, Power Center Parkway 3009, or Power Center, I'm sorry, not Parkway, Power Center 3009 Gerson Memorial in Lake Charles. So we have currently have 9 pod sites open. You should be able to get most of your essential needs, food, water, ice, and tarps at those locations. And that completes my report, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Next, we'll hear from law enforcement, and we are pleased today to have Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office Commander Gene Pittman.
Good afternoon. So I'm here on behalf of the sheriff and the chief today. God works in mysterious ways, and as he would have it, I had COVID prior to the storm and survived that, and so now, of course, the sheriff has it. Now Stitch has tested positive, so here I am, next man up. Both the sheriff and the chief are quarantined, but they are continuing to work and lead the department. I guess in some ways COVID prepared us for that, and we were already, all of us, of course, very familiar from doing our jobs and working remotely during the COVID. So we continue to be operational at the sheriff's office. We're handling all calls for services. Our facilities are all slowly coming back online. We're starting to get some of our assets repaired. We do have some deputies testing positive for COVID, but not in great numbers, and so far it has not affected our ability to conduct and maintain operations as we normally would, even under these circumstances. So on that note, the sheriff wanted me to make sure to mention, our deputies have worked tirelessly through this, and he wants the families to know how much he appreciates the fact that when these men and women go to work every day or have remained at work for days and weeks at a time, while the rest of the family may be evacuated or they're handling things at home on their own, he just wanted them to know how much he appreciates their sacrifice and what they're going through as well, and supporting the men and women at the Sheriff's Office to continue to do what they're doing. We continue to have a large amount of resources in the parish, particularly from the other sheriffs in the state, coordinated by the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. Big thanks also to the state police for helping us run our night operations. Large amounts of manpower is here to assist us in a situation such as this. We don't know what we would do without that. So I want to cover the stats briefly. So to date, we have handled 7,644 calls for service. Of that, 4,061 are public calls for service, and 3,583 are self-initiated by our deputies. To date, 122 looting calls, But I wanted to mention, that's probably one of the most important things, and what people think about or worried about is their property. And I'm gonna get to that in a second, what we're doing to try and stem that. But we handled 147 disturbance calls also. So we're still handling every other type of case, every other type of call that we normally would as a department. We have a detective unit that's maybe not full staff, but they're going out on call-outs, investigating cases. We've recovered tens of thousands of dollars in property. We've made arrests. So we're functioning as we normally would as a department, even in the face of this. We've also conducted 1,255 traffic stops. So in traffic stops, I mentioned this earlier today in a meeting, it's not because somebody's speeding, and it's not your normal traffic control. This is, we're out there, particularly at night, looking for people that are up to no good, people that should not be out after curfew. So those traffic stops, and what we're doing is try to prevent these types of things from happening. So, so the daily totals. So we have, look here. So far, we in the Detective Bureau, we have 167 reports. Of those, 61 are looting. So let me say a word about that real quick. Like, I looked at the averages. So on average, in a day in Calcasieu Parish, the Sheriff's Office, we'll have approximately 3 total residential and commercial burglaries. Right now, if you did the math on that, since the post-storm, we're at about 5. So there's no significant increase in looting, and looting is only a burglary that occurs during a state of emergency. So there's not rampant looting in the streets. We're handling that just fine. Sheriff wanted me to mention, and I think Vic covered it a minute ago, the roadways. Please be careful on the roadways. If you've moved about this parish, there's a tremendous amount of traffic, but people just aren't driving very well, to be honest with you. On the way over here, I had people running by me at a high speed. These lights that are out, you get going and you're not paying attention, and there's no traffic light. Next thing you know, you've blown through a traffic light. So if you can stay off the roadways, please do. It hinders electrical workers from getting around that are here in very large numbers. So the more we can stay off the roadways, I believe the better we're going to be, and better off we're going to be. We're taking reports. I just want everybody to know we're taking all reports. If you call, and any type, it doesn't matter what it is, what type of crime, what type of report it is, we are going to take those reports. It is going to get assigned to a detective, and we are going to work those cases. We're continuing to run our night operations here in Calcasieu Parish. Remember that the curfew is still in effect from dusk till dawn, and I think that has been very successful. I think that will be key, and the sheriff thinks that will be key in keeping our numbers, and particularly in property crimes, down. Crime prevention is our main focus right now. We're using the assets and resources from the Sheriff's Association and from the LSP to help augment that. And I believe that's it. Any questions? All right, I believe Lieutenant Colonel Cook from the National Guard.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Evil Cook. I'm briefing for the National Guard. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the people of Calcasieu Parish. We've got guardsmen all over the place, and we've had a very warm welcome, and we understand that you folks are the ones that are in need, and we constantly get, hey, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? And we're here to help you. So just want to say thank you for that, and it makes makes our job much easier when all that's happening. So I'll go through kind of what we've got going on as the Air National Guard. We've got 8 engineering assessment teams in the field, 3 engineering work teams, and 7 route clearance teams for about 131 people trying to clean up the parish right now. From those, we're working 121 municipal building sites so far. 75% of those are the actual buildings of the municipality, like the one that we're standing in now. 65% schools and 64% of the libraries are done. So we're making some good progress with those stats. We have 354 people on security detail around the parishes. Those are at pawn shops, banks, businesses that have asked for security. So we've still got a lot of people out doing that. We placed generators in Lake Charles, DeQuincy, Benton, and Starks, and we're working on the Westlake request that's come in, and we hope to fill that very soon. We still have 9 pods around the parish as well, and those are staying open just as the standard pod schedule, morning to night. And we still have 2 government support teams here in the parish working out of this building. Are there any questions for the Air National or for the National Guard? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. In these responses, you meet so many people and new people, interesting people, and there's a lot of heartwarming stories. And Lieutenant Colonel Cook is here, and I hope you don't mind me saying it. He mentioned when he got here, just we were chatting, and I think he was 2 days away from a retirement ceremony. And yet he's here. He's been here the whole time, working very hard. It's been a pleasure, and that's one of hundreds of stories of people who are here helping us in official capacity, some in not official, but it's very welcome. Let me just say that. So we appreciate that. At this time, we actually have an update on K through 12 public schools. So I'm going to ask Carl Brookhouse, Superintendent of Calcasieu Parish School Board, to come forward.
Thank you, Brian, for the opportunity. So we have our 2 recovery companies that are working in all of our schools, our 70 locations. One has 38 and the other one has 32. They're making good progress. We're seeing some good things happening. I want to formally thank the National Guard. We had a lot of debris on 70 campuses, I'll tell you. And they've done a great job. You heard him say they're 65% complete with our schools, probably going to finish close to be finished by the end of this week. So we certainly appreciate that and all the hot weather. And we released several things today. We sent out a survey to all of our staff members, our 4,950 employees, checking on them to see where they were, how they were doing, when they thought they might be ready to begin getting back to work in a virtual environment, at least first. So we needed to know that information, and we're going to gather those surveys here pretty quickly this week. We also today sent out a student enrollment survey. It's on our website. It's also, we did a call out about both of those things about 2 hours ago. So we're asking all of our students to actually fill out the survey. We would like to know if they're prepared to come back when it's right, when we have power and they can get back to their houses or get back into town. Even if they can't, will they participate with us virtually with that opportunity? So there's several questions on there, and we're asking everybody to complete that too. So we set some timelines. We'd like to have all those results back by September 20th so that we can gear up to begin virtual learning prior to September 28th. That's our goal at this time. We've made a request of FEMA, basically through the police jury, for quite a few laptops to add to what we have now that we got under the CARES Act. If our whole district's going to be virtual for any extended period of time, we need additional devices. We've had some companies step up and offer us free online licenses for virtual learning, so we're very pleased about that, and we think we can roll into that pretty quickly. So there's a lot going on. We're trying to move as fast as we can. I do believe we will have some face-to-face campuses open before that 28th date. I don't think we'll have all of them, but we are committed to open schools as they're ready. So we will not wait and open all of Calcasieu Parish at one time. When a school's ready, they have power, they're ready to go, we've got the campus clean and the school clean, and we have people to come back to work, because that's a major part of it, right? They have to have a place to live to be here. Then we're going to open those schools, whether it's an elementary school, whether it's a middle school or a high school, whatever we have the opportunity to do, we want our people back in a face-to-face environment as much as possible. So are there any questions? Thank you.
We appreciate Carl being here today. Next, we'll hear from Alan Wainwright to discuss the status of road debris removal, trash routes, and traffic signs.
Thank you, Brian. Start with debris, another good day. The numbers I'm typically giving you from this morning when I get them, they're for a day old, I guess, but we run about 100 trucks, debris trucks. All those trucks can really carry anywhere from 70 to 100 cubic yards of debris. To date, we have had 1,300 plus loads to debris sites, totaling 60,000 cubic yards of debris. We have a long way to go, but we're off to a good start. We're asking everyone to, please sort your debris appropriately. You can find published material on all the parish social media outlets and media outlets on how to do that. This first sort of couple days, we're focusing on cleaning up some of the ditches and open some of that up. So I want to encourage people or have you understand the debris trucks that we're using in this effort have long booms on them, and they can really reach across the ditch and get a significant amount of debris from the other side of the ditch. So you don't necessarily have to push everything in the ditch if that's possible. We understand it's crowded out there, and we understand you're trying to do your best. So we're going to work with you on that, but just know that we have good reach from the road right away, and we're trying to work it like that, at least for these first couple big passes. On the regulatory signs, our crews now, Calcasieu Parish, have been to all the major intersections. So all your major intersections, 4-ways and 2-ways, where stop signs were missing, they've been checked, they've been stood up. They may be rough, beat up a little bit, but they should be there. So we are encouraging folks that if you, on a parish route especially, and you notice one of these are down, someone has hit it or something like that, to please contact our office at 721-3700. We want to get that stood right back up and in place. So our crews are now in more of the subdivision streets and in your residential streets where the traffic should be a lot slower and a lot calmer anyway. Finally, the trash routes are resumed normal today. By Wednesday, we will have completed the entire cycle of the routes for the parish. We are because of tomorrow, these routes, these 3 days here are the biggest routes of the week. It's taking all trucks available to do those routes, so there will no longer be the perishable goods sites. Stand up, we're using all trucks on the routes for the next couple of days. So Thursday starts the second round, and we expect it'll be a lot smoother. We encourage everyone to get their can out. We have published it. I don't have it here, but if somehow you've lost your can and you need a new one, please contact either my office at 721-3700 or the waste management number, and we'll get you a new can. So with that, I'll answer any questions if there's any. Thank you.
We do not have any updates from the utility companies, the power companies. They, of course, are working hard out there, and as they have something a little more specific to report, they will come up or provide a statement. At this time, this is a new thing, and this is from the police jury. We have a news release that went out earlier this afternoon to announce we have a temporary office, our planning and development division is now effective tomorrow, going to begin issuing temporary work licensing. Many people who've been around since Rita may remember that we did this after Rita. You have so many companies coming in to help people with their different needs, but we're trying to give citizens some protection. It's not going to be foolproof, but it's going to be helpful. And I'd just like to read a little bit from that news release on this new development. The Calcasieu Parish Police Jury's Division of Planning and Development will open a temporary office at Prien Lake Park to begin issuing temporary work licenses and permits for those who need them to perform Hurricane Laura recovery work in the parish. Prien Lake Park, that we have what's called Harbor's Edge Pavilion. It's the main closed-in building there. It's 3700 West Prien Lake Road, and this office will be open from 8 a.m. starting tomorrow, September 8th, and hours Monday through Friday will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is actually a very good site. It took a while to work it up, but you have good access really right off of 210 from anywhere in the parish, and there's a lot of parking. And so we're going to handle both those temporary work permits or work licenses And this is, by the way, for the whole parish, including all municipalities. So any of those, we're asking citizens to help. If needed, Wes Crane, our planning director, is here to answer questions, but they will be given, I think, a yellow piece of paper that makes it official, so citizens can ask for that. And if they do, that means there's a couple of important things there, mainly some general liability coverage, which is required to get this, and workers' compensation coverage. So that, again, that's for the whole parish, including cities. Now, for construction permitting, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical, though this location in Preen Lake Park will also serve that need, but that's simply for unincorporated areas. Otherwise, you have to go to city offices for those respective permits. This is important. All fees for licenses and permits will be waived until further notice. And I want to say this is a little more informal, but we've streamlined the process. Think of people now getting some work done at houses. We're not asking as many questions as normal. We want people to get these permits. We want to help them make it quicker. So for people who are helping developers, contractors, et cetera, we want to help there. So that's new, and we had a soft opening today. We did have some people coming by. We had to get our bugs out. We're still having a little bit of a challenge with a direct phone line, but we will, in a future news release, hopefully tomorrow, have a phone number to call for that service. But for now, it's 3700 Preen Lake Road. Can't miss it, Preen Lake Park, over there right off of I-210 at that exit. Any questions on that service? Okay. We'll now go to the individual assistance updates with FEMA. We've been pleased to have Jerry Stoller come up here each day. Today, representing FEMA is Keith Jones, External Affairs.
Thanks, Brian. Good afternoon. Since this is the first time that I've had to address this audience, I'd like to start by saying our thoughts are with you as we all work hard to get through this disaster as one team with one goal. In my many dealings in and out and about in Calcasieu Parish, the people I've talked to are resistant. They basically just want to know what they have to do to get things done. Just a quick update, we have 1,401 registrations yesterday for a total of 71,191 total registrations at Calcasieu Parish. Also, there have been more than 19,000 home inspections completed so far, and more than $26.3 million in housing assistance has been granted by FEMA. All the information that we share here at these public briefings, just to let everybody know, can be found at FEMA.gov/disaster/4559. Our disaster number here is 4559. So if you go to FEMA.gov and don't remember anything else about that, just search 4559 and it should take you there. And it provides all the information, all the press releases, all the fact sheets about what FEMA has done here so far in support of the parish of Calcasieu and the state of Louisiana. I'd like to clear up just a few myths or misconceptions that are out there in regards to registration. FEMA denials come through the mail. So if you think you've been denied, if you haven't gotten a letter so far, that's just not the case. It's either because you've been ineligible at this time, you may have tried to sign up for the wrong support, or you provided insufficient documentation. So there are a number of ways to clean this up. If you haven't registered, or if you're having problems with your registration, you can still call back to 1-800-621-3362. For the hearing impaired, that's 800-462-7585. You can go to disasterassistance.gov, or you can drive through or you can go to the Drive-Through Disaster Recovery Center here at the Calcasieu Parish School Board. It's right off of I-210, off of exit 11 at 3310 Broad Street. And if you miss it, you can't miss it. You'll see all the yellow school buses and some FEMA folks there ready to help you out. Speaking of the drive-through DRC, even if you've been registered and have been found ineligible at the time, if your claim says you need more documents or you just have questions, the people there can pull your claim up right there at the school board site and provide some assistance. Feel free to use it. Hasn't been much traffic lately, and we'd like to get as many people through that site as we can to make sure that we put this to bed. Another misconception out there that I've heard on the streets is that you have to wait for your insurance company to respond before you can register for FEMA. That's just not true. All you need is your claim number. So if you get your claim number from your insurance company, you can hang up for that call and turn right around and register with FEMA. Registration is important. Without registering at the FEMA site, no further assistance can be provided. Speaking of that, just a quick update. FEMA has 571 inspectors all throughout southwestern Louisiana conducting remote inspections of homes damaged by Hurricane Laura. So far, they've completed 23,569,000. Like I said before, 19,000 right here in Calcasieu Parish, which is more than 58% of everyone who is registered for federal disaster assistance. They're also doing remote inspections. FEMA inspectors will contact you by phone to ask questions about the type and extent of the damage you've sustained, so that you don't have to wait for somebody to come to your house in all cases. And lastly, we'll talk about generators. People have been hearing that eligible Hurricane Laura survivors can now be reimbursed for generator purchases, and that's true. It's through FEMA's Other Needs Assistance Program. It provides reimbursements for personal property, child care, medical and dental costs, transportation, moving and storage, or critical needs. So to find all this information, I just want to reiterate one more time, you can go to FEMA.gov/disaster/4559. That's a very important number to remember to get more information on anything we've discussed in this briefings or to get dialed in on the information you're looking for. That's all I have at this time, unless there's any questions.
I have one, Mr. Jones. You mentioned $26.3 million in funds distributed in disaster assistance. Can you quantify or can you break that down? Is that in terms of the $500 that was initially paid out to some claims, I guess, that were brought up, or is that in
So that's Calcasieu Parish. There's been more than 50 million that's been put out. We get briefings every day on how much has been assigned. That's for housing assistance. And there's a lot more that goes into other areas that would be breaking it down, but that's specifically for housing assistance. I don't know at this time if that includes the $500 per person, but I can look into that and get back to you or get with your Calcasieu Parish PIO to get you that information.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
We appreciate that, Keith. Next, we'll hear from Ed Bush with the Red Cross.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for the invitation tonight and this opportunity to share with you a little what the Red Cross is doing out there and how we can be part of this team and what's a truly great recovery effort. So here in Southwest Louisiana, no change to our priority of efforts. We're focused on points of distribution, communication of needs, and damage assessment. I'll talk points of distribution first, specifically food. Throughout Louisiana today, the Red Cross fed at 24 feeding sites in 23 cities spread over 9 parishes. Here specific to Calcasieu, we're focused on 7 feeding sites today. I'll run through those. And you'll see, and this is certainly by design, these sites are starting to change less and less, and that's a good thing. That means that we're, with some degree of confidence, we feel like we're feeding where we're supposed to. Certainly, initially on, there's a huge surge, and you're kind of feeding all over, but staying close to our parish representatives and those locals that are telling us to feed here, that's starting to solidify, and that's a good thing. That doesn't mean we're going to start feeding less. That just means that we're probably feeding in the right places. So the list that we have currently right now is 2,000 Moling. That's the Allen August Annex. So we paused the location at Huber Park because it turned out that there were 2 agencies that were going to feed at the Huber Park. So, Dick Greenman got with us early on, and we shifted to another location. So we've been feeding today and tonight at 7903 Lake Street. That's the sports complex there. And that may just be a one-day thing, but we'll stay flexible. We continue to feed at the 935 3rd Avenue Market Basket location, at the 503 East Highway 90 Community Center in Iowa, the 300 Hazel, that's McMurray Park location in Sulphur, the 203 South Grand Avenue location in DeQuincy, and the 900 Horde Street location. That's the Vinton Middle School in Vinton. Today in here, Calcasieu, we will serve almost 3,000 meals. Points of distribution for what we call DES, those disaster emergency supplies. So we had no scheduled DES drops today, but I wanted to make you aware of a large supply drop that's going to occur Wednesday and Thursday. So this is a huge push to get these supplies, and we're going to need some help. So this is going to be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on both of those days. That's Wednesday the 9th and Thursday the 10th. And it'll be at the Greater St. Mary Missionary Baptist Church. That's located at 1801 2nd Avenue here in Lake Charles. And they're going to be handing out those supplies, those cleaning supplies, mops, rakes, buckets, gloves, bleach, all that stuff, as well as MREs. I need a little help getting that out because we are looking for some volunteers who can help us out with that. And anyone interested in volunteering can certainly go to the Red Cross website, www.redcross.org, and they can volunteer, and it's pretty quick and easy application. Volunteers can choose to help on one or both days, and just a note that they need to show up with closed-toed shoes, sunscreen, and we'll make sure they have masks and protective equipment. And thank you in advance to anyone who can support. So our second focus that I talked about was the communication of needs. So all of this is an example of how that's working. All of these points in the moving, it's because we're trying to stay close to the parishes. It's why I'm here, and it's why you've got someone like me in every parish out there specifically designed to work with those officials. Damage assessment teams, no change to the plan. We expect to be completed with Red Cross damage assessments by Wednesday of next week. And we continue to share our information with FEMA to speed that process and help make that work so we don't get in each other's way and step over each other. So again, because we have a little bit of a cast of changing people who are in attendance here tonight, I wanted to talk about sheltering real quick because it's unique. So what you're seeing here in Louisiana is the largest non-congregate sheltering effort ever. It's truly phenomenal, and we've never seen anything like it. And the partnership between DCFS, the Department of Child and Family Services, and the Red Cross is a great example of how these partnerships work. So as you know, DCFS is ultimately responsible for all sheltering activities for Louisiana. Red Cross works in support of them. The amount of people in hotels and the amount of workforce that took on the DCFS was danger close to overloading them. So what we're doing is the DCFS is taking some of those hotels off their plate and pushing them to the Red Cross. And we are now managing hotels for DCFS. And currently, we're managing 31 hotels, one in Shreveport and the rest of them all in New Orleans. Why I put this out here is because there's a very good chance that a lot of the population in those hotels are Calcasieu residents. And I want to make sure that the folks know that we've got that mission, and we will continue to provide that wraparound care that we're known for and make sure that those people are well taken care of. Workforce, one note, today we have just right around 860 staff and volunteers on site, with the vast majority of those here in Calcasieu. And again, anyone wishing to volunteer, redcross.org or 1-800-RED CROSS. That concludes my briefing tonight, unless anyone has any questions.
Can you just repeat the days for the large distribution
Sure.
site that's coming?
It's Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So Wednesday, September 9th and Thursday, September 10th, from 10 to 3 on both of those days. And I would say we're sending this out to all the mayors as well, so they can help us to put it up on their Facebook pages and let them know that this is happening. And certainly, obviously, if you could help us get that on the media, that'd be great. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Very good news. Thank you, Ed. We'll hear from some local officials now. We have Police Jury President Tony Gilry with us today. We appreciate you being here, Tony.
Thank you, Brian. Just want to remind everybody of the things still going on throughout Lake Charles. Operation Blessings is at Christian World Church, and they are helping people put on their roofs, clean up their yards, and many other things. You can go to Christian World Church on Goche from 9 to 4 every day, or else you can call 1-800-730-2537. That is just one of the things going on. Mask, asking everybody, please continue wearing your mask. Wear your mask everywhere, please. They're going to be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow next to Napa, good hot food. And people on the road after 7, there is still a curfew out there, and we must obey the curfew from 7 to 6. Everyone is wanting to come back. We're working very hard to get to that step, asking everybody to please stay safe, watch your roads, and may God bless everyone. Thank you, Brian.
We appreciate Tony's efforts. He and so many others are out there serving the public with food and other needs. From the city of Lake Charles today, we're pleased to have Kimberly Delafosse from the mayor's office. So you want to come up, Kimberly?
Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to thank all of the community agencies that are working tirelessly each day to serve our citizens. So just a few updates and some reminders. So the city has resumed its normal collection routes for garbage pickup. Now, due to debris piles and low limbs, we are asking citizens to make sure that you try to push those receptacles as close to the road as possible, and do understand that some roads may not be accessible because they're still trying to clear the roadways of debris. If citizens have lost receptacles, or if their receptacles were damaged during the storm, they can call 491-1442 to request to be placed on the replacement list. As a reminder, citizens can still drop off spoiled goods and household waste at 3 sites within the city: at 2720 Medora Street, 801 East School Street, and 4436 Weaver Road. Storm debris contractors are currently collecting roadside debris. Once again, we are encouraging residents to place their debris as close to the roadside as possible without placing it in the roadway. And debris removal contractors will be making those rounds throughout the city for the next upcoming weeks to try to clear everything out of the roadways. From water and wastewater services, our citizens are still encouraged to report water leaks, broken water lines, or sewage issues by calling 491-1442 between the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The call center at 491-1442 is operational 7 days a week. Any citizen who needs to obtain a fire or police report of any kind from the Lake Charles Fire or Police Departments should also call that 491-1442 number. The hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. once again, and as soon as internet services are restored, these departments will begin processing those reports. Just encouraging citizens once again to adhere to the parish's burn ban. Once again, the burn ban that has been in place since the 31st. And finally, any resident who wants to keep up on what's being updated throughout the city, understanding where we are with our progress, they can do so by going to the city's website at www.cityoflakecharles.com, or visiting the city's Facebook page at facebook.com/Lake Charles, Louisiana. So thank you once again. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate Kimberly being here today on behalf of Mayor Hunter and the city of Lake Charles. I want to read a statement from Kenny Stinson, mayor of the town of Vinton. He says that Vinton City Hall will be open for drive-through service only for utility payments or questions. This will be Mondays through Thursdays, beginning Tuesday, September 8th, which is tomorrow, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Again, town of Vinton, drive-through service only for utility payments. That concludes our list of speakers and information from a briefing today, but we always like to give a last-minute opportunity if there are any questions, or did I miss somebody who needs to give a report? Okay, we are holding these every other day now, so our next public briefing will be Wednesday, September 9th at 4 p.m. Thank you.